hypothyroidism. It's a situation that is becoming more and more prevalent in our population. Now, an important thing to point out is when we have overt hypothyroidism, in other words, when your TSH, which is the measurement of how your thyroid's working, is above 5.5, that's officially hypothyroid. Now, what's interesting is the TSH values are continually getting lowered by the labs, because what we know to be happening is that there's a large percentage of the population that is actually subclinically hypothyroid. What does that mean? Well, subclinical hypothyroidism basically means you have the symptoms of hypothyroid. You're tired, you're fatigued, you have cold sensitivity, your hands and feet are cold, or you're real sensitive to the cold. You wake up and you feel puffy in the morning, your eyelids are puffy, your eyes, your joints are stiff, you're constipated, you have dry skin, you might have mild depression. If you're a woman, you might have irregular periods or painful periods. You might have insomnia. Or you might have skin rashes and worsening eczema. Those are signs of hypothyroidism. But what happens is, because the laboratory range is so wide, it goes from 0.5 to 5.5, there's a huge gap where people are being missed. Now, what's happening is I use a value of 2 as my cutoff for my TSH. Certainly I let people run a little higher, but I like to see everybody at 2 and below. Once we're hitting 2, I know that there's issues with the thyroid. So what that's saying is everybody who falls between 2 and 5.5, if you go to your doctor, he'll say everything's fine. But it's not really fine. That's the point of what I'm trying to make here, is that what we need to do is also measure free T4 and free T3. So when I measure somebody's thyroid, I'm measuring TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, I'm measuring free T4, and I'm measuring free T3. Without free T4 and free T3, we actually only have 1/3 of the picture. We don't even have the whole picture of the thyroid. I can't tell you how many times patients come in, they say, oh, my doctor said my thyroid's fine. I'm saying, okay, fine, let's see. I get a TSH, but I get a free T4 and a free T3, and I can't tell you how many times people come back and their free T3 will be low. Or their free T4 and free T3 will be low, but their TSH will be in normal zones. So what happens is I get those measurements on everyone. So anyone who's watching this who has thyroid concerns, who thinks they may be hypothyroid, whose mother, whose sisters, whose brothers, whose father, who has any family relative, first degree or other, who has hypothyroidism, you must pay attention. You need to get free T4 and free T3 as part of the lab measurement, otherwise you're not getting an appropriate picture. Interestingly enough, the labs have just reduced the top value of TSH down to 4.5 and from 5.5. So you could be between T4 and makes T3 out of it and then uses T3. So T3 is actually what's being used by your body. T4 is just the substrate for what's going to be created. So it's like I give you a 55-gallon drum of crude oil and say drive your car. You can't do it. The oil has to be refined into gasoline. So when I give you Armour Thyroid, for example, it has a little gasoline in it. So your body's refining, but you also have some gasoline to get to the store today. So that tends to work a lot better. Now, in some people with autoimmune issues, they don't necessarily respond as well to Armour, or other people who we can't stabilize their thyroid. What I'll do then is do a bioidentical compounded prescription for thyroid. It's bioidentical thyroid, which takes T4 and T3 and mixes them into an appropriate dosage in a time-released capsule that you can then take. So you're getting the T4 and the T3, but in a bioidentical form. It's not porcine. It's actually T4 and levothyroxine and T3 combined together in a time-release form. So when I'm treating thyroid dysfunction, I'm looking at all of these things, and I'm really looking to see, how they play into what's happening. Once again, like I said, the hormones. In a woman, progesterone is needed for the conversion of thyroid. So as women become peri and menopausal, what happens is their progesterone goes down and their thyroid's going to begin working less. And that's when do you think we start seeing thyroid dysfunction? But at those years in the 4th decade.